I'm a priestess of the dead. Written and narrated by Lady Spookaria. My family have been Christian for many generations now. If you ask us, we will tell you that is the family religion, and I guess I do the same. What we don't tell people is that we have traditions from long, long ago. These sacred rites are done in private, and I can see why they would be. They're strange, and I guess I shut this side of myself off. It isn't exactly something you go to school to tell your friends about. It is what it is. I suppose there are worse family secrets to have. The body is brought to the family funeral home. Seeing bodies like this doesn't bother me anymore. It is a normal part of life to die. Now, it depends on whether they are part of the extended clans or not. If not, they get a pretty standard funeral, with the most basic of rites, but occasionally, something more is required. Usually people who have passed through terrible situations will require some additional treatment. Rites to ensure that the deceased knows to pass on. We bathe the body while prayers are whispered into the corpse's ears. The liquid has been brewed by the elders, and it is a secret that only the wisest of priests know. I don't know the origin, nor do I truly know what I'm saying when I whisper into their ears. Prayers in a language now lost to time. One that is only spoken for the dead and a few of the living get to hear. The muscles of the deceased are massaged before the body is dressed in clothing with sacred symbols sewn into it, ancient and ornate patterns of protection of old. Once the body is prepared, it is taken out into the cemetery. This one has long been abandoned, so we're not likely to have people stumble by and find it. There is no coffin. Not yet, anyway. A fresh grave is dug each time before the grave is lined with salt and petals of strange plants. I can always recognize the rich perfume. It isn't unpleasant. Occasionally when I am outside, I will smell it and instantly think of the rites. The deceased is carried out, covered in a white shroud and decorated by a wreath made from local branches, entwined with flowers and hair of the women in the family. I'm still not entirely sure what the tradition associated with that is. Like most of the mentioned rites, the meaning behind them have been lost. And when I asked my grandma about it, she said it was due to a connection with an ancient deity. That has not forgotten about us. I have been doing this since I was 13 years old. I wear a white shift and wait while the body is carefully lowered into the ground. My face will be painted with a mixture of ash and blood. Each line has a meaning, an offer of protection, and a talisman to bind us to the soil if the worst should occur. Instead of the traditional body position, the body is cradled into the fetal one instead, surrounded by a pattern of stones, and the final whispers of funerary prayers can be heard chanted around us. Songs of protection, of a new life, and a time to move forward. There is no mention of the horror that will come. The priestess will take a mouthful of a liquid that tastes like rust, ash, and I can smell the alcohol. My head instantly begins to spin when I swallow. The scent alone is enough to knock someone out. Over time you build up a tolerance to it or you die. After that, either myself or another priestess is lowered into the grave. This terrified me the first time. Gazing up at people, and I felt like I was already dead. I'm pretty sure that is the point. You're halfway between the living and the dead. I would lay down and squeeze in behind the deceased, wrap my arms around the corpse, and wait in silence while the rest of the family begin to shovel dirt down on top of me. If I show fear, then the rites are unfavorable. And then, well, perhaps I will tell you what happens to a priestess who fails in her duties. While it happens, I tend to let myself drift off somewhere mentally. I imagine running on the beach or wandering through the forest. Anything to touch the living world again. Finally, it goes dark. The grave is relatively shallow and you need to regulate your breathing carefully. It is lonely in the grave, but even more frightening when you realize that you are not alone. The deceased will whimper and sob, the realization that they are dead and they are in their grave, away from everything they cherished and held dear in their hearts. I would hold them tighter, whisper into their ear that they are not alone, and never will be. You need to be fearless in the face of death, because so many are frightened by it. Most of them will quiet down and will sleep in the earth, content in the prayers, and all you have to do is wait until morning. However, there will be some who are restless, and their spirits will summon the unclaimed dead to them. I don't think many of them realize how or why they are doing this. These ones give you the most trouble. I don't blame them, and I don't hate them. It simply is. Death rites vary from culture to culture, and I don't think it matters what the tradition actually is. The grieving process is important for the families and the deceased. Both need to move forward and accept the passing for a new life. Now, what happens when the deceased calls out to the unclaimed dead? Hands will reach out through the thick soil and try to pull us into the earth with them. If they cannot have peace, neither can you. Muffled screams, and it can be hard to stay focused. The corpse in your arms will start to shudder, whimper and tremble. You'll feel a change. The body will become stronger, harder to hold in place. You will hear the bones crack as the skull begins to turn backwards to face you. It is dark in the grave, but there is no escaping this menace. The lips draw back in a sadistic grin, proof that the deceased is no longer in residence in the body. The foul breath will cause your stomach to turn and twist. You will feel the threat in every part of your being. It is easy to freeze up or try to escape, but you need to stay focused. The prayers need to continue to be whispered. It is vital that it finishes now and the spirits return back. You will know that it works because the head will crack and return to the rightful position. There'll be a final whimper and it goes to rest. Now, what happens if you fail? You will hear more cracking now. The wrists, the elbows, the shoulders. All of them break and the arms turn around, wrap tightly around you, and then it is too late. I don't know what happens after this. I have heard screaming from the grave before, and it haunts my dreams. In the morning, the pair of them will be dug up, and we will see the corpse with the arms tight around her, nearly suffocating her. And it looks up with its glowing eyes at us. The wicked spirit claimed their sacrifice, mocking us for our failure. She didn't beg to be released, and she knew what was going to come. The priestess is buried alive. Her fate is sealed, and the ground is her tomb. The loss is explained somehow. She went missing and is lost to us. Even though her corpse now resides in the ground with the wicked spirit. It means that the spirit is not able to rise up to torment or harm the rest of the living, so it is considered worth it. A casualty of war. One more spirit is trapped beneath the soil. On to happier things. If the rites were successful, she will wait until sunrise in the grave. The priestess is dug up and helped out, reunited with the living, and rejoices at seeing the sun again. The body is removed from the temporary grave, ready now for traditional rites. The priestess will bathe the corpse blood and dirt from her body with scented rainwater, and will not speak to anyone for 3 days or nights. In solitude, a chance for her to rest and regain her strength after the encounter. I tend to sit alone during these times and piece things together. Each time my memory gets worse, and I think it has to do with the drink we are offered at the start of each ritual. There are always several priestesses within each clan, each of us alternating between caring for the dead, cleaning the bodies, making our mixtures and teaching. I received a message earlier today, so I guess there will be a body to care for. I can't say that I enjoy it, but I've gotten used to it. Only once I have heard the bones snap and crack beneath the ground. I recognize some of the voices when they whisper to me. Every single time they got closer, and they have become more demanding. I would like to thank Muerto Animations for creating my amazing intro. He's taking commissions, so check him out in the description below. Don't forget to stab or caress the like button, comment, share this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. This video is made with the support of my Patreons. Stay safe, my little spooklings. And remember, I'll be watching you.